I know they do the walk-in thing. They're like, does it just I gotta look down, do I look up? What do I do? We're ready to believe you.
We're ready to believe you.
Okay, we're back with another episode of Ready to Believe. I'm Jamie Pale Rider.
Rob Williams.
And today we have a very special presentation for you. So first I want to set the scene a little bit, provide a little bit of context. So Aaron Lutsch, who we featured in a previous video when we've been talking about suit weathering and pack 3D printing, that kind of stuff. He made his own pack, like from scratch, 3D printed, and then did it all up with electronics and everything like that. It looks awesome. And yeah, he basically walked us through the basics of weathering a flight suit. So we've seen him before. Today, we are talking about a 2-in-the-box trap upgrade. And for context, Aaron and I, before the 2-in-the-box actually came out and started getting in people's hands, we found an Amazon photography kind of smoke machine that dimensions wise looked like it should probably fit in the trap. So lo and behold, the trap arrives, it doesn't fit. Which happens. It was a gamble. We basically just wanted to get ahead of it. But Aaron being Aaron, I don't know if I've referred to him like this before, but he's basically like our own kind of personal Doc Brown. And the reason why, I know it's not like Ghostbusters, but the reason why I say that is when we both got our traps in hands and we were kind of talking through like, okay, what do we do next? Aaron was first like, well, let's just slash and burn. Like, I'm going to start cutting away on my trap and make more space on the inside. Whoa, dude. The trap is expensive, relatively, and also you're likely not to get a replacement. It was a funded and backed thing. It's not just something you can go to Hasbro Pulse and buy right now. Mm-hmm. So I asked Aaron, because he also builds droids, like Star Wars droids. He's built a BB-8, a Dio, a mouse droid. Yeah, he's crazy when it comes to electronics and things like that. So I'm like, is there anything we can do with the smoke machine, like housing wise, to cut down on the housing and make it fit but still work? He's like, let me get back to you. And then him getting back to us was, I got it working.
We'll put point A to point Z.
That's Aaron. He's just like laser focused. But also he's like, okay, so I know you got a soldering machine. I got a soldering iron on his recommendation. He said, in his words, I could walk you through it over Zoom, but there is a slight risk of explosion. I'm sorry, what? And this is like full Doc Brown. Like, this is the word he used. He's like, well, you know, the power source is a couple of lithium-ion batteries. I had to like solder them together. Is that safe? He's like, no. So I'm like, okay, when I send my smoke machine out to you, and I think you were Pony Express on that one.
Yeah.
And you do it up, because I do not feel safe as one of my like first soldering projects risking explosion. But him being Doc Brown is like, it's fine. I think he's got all his fingers and eyebrows. But anyway, so we are going to throw over to our personal Doc Brown, Aaron Lutsch, and he's going to walk us through the process. Again, huge disclaimer, do not try this at home. Obviously, it voids the warranty, but we also want everybody to be safe out there. Do not do this. It was crazy there and did it, and it was mostly just, this was a thing we had. We kind of messed up. We took a risk, a bit of a gamble. It didn't fit, so he made it fit. But it is very dangerous. Yeah, when you're
got the ticker going for you.
That's perfect. It's dangerous when you're talking about messing with lithium-ion batteries and soldering them together or like wiring them up. in a way that is basically not necessarily not meant to be done, but definitely not standard. But with that in mind, again, full disclaimer, do not try and replicate this at home. We're going to throw to our own personal Doc Brown, Aaron Lutsch.
Hey everybody, today we're going to take a look at how to add a smoke machine to your 2-in-the-box ghost trap. Just to give you guys a little bit of context about myself, I love building props, I love building costumes, and I love adding in those extra bells and whistles. The extra bells and whistles just make the costume or prop create that extra level of immersion. Now, I have been working with props probably since 2013 when I first started building my Boba Fett costume for the 501st Legion. The idea behind building this particular costume and what I wanted to do, I wanted to add in all of these like servos and lights and sounds and of course a smoking jetpack. At the time, the issue was that smoke machines that were made to fit into props, because cosplay at this time in like 2013 or whatever, it was just kind of kicking off. It wasn't really all that big. I was looking for a smoke machine that would fit into a small space, right? So if I was to put it in this jetpack, I mean, smoke machines from what I was familiar with are like the Halloween specials, right? Or DJ smoke machines, that kind of stuff. Come up a couple of years where I'm trying to build this smoke machine for my Fett costume, I was looking everywhere. And at the time, there were like professional theater smoke machines. I can't remember exactly what they were, but they were somewhere upwards of like $1,800 or like, $1,500, something like that. And trying to keep things on a budget, obviously for a little effect and who knows how long you're actually going to use it, not really worth it.
Fog machine? Even I think this is crazy.
So I was looking at alternatives, and one thing that I ended up looking at when I first started doing this was a Skyrider for RC planes. I ended up speaking with a guy, I can't remember his name, but for like $200 or something like that, I ended up getting a Skyrider put in my Fett jetpack. And that was something that was kind of interesting because it blew out a lot of smoke, but was only available for like a short amount of time. Fast forward a couple of years and cosplayers start using e-cigs, right? So e-cigarette vaporizers and like a aquarium kind of fish pump or air pump. So they would essentially attach these two together. You find a way to power the e-cig, it heats up, you put your fluid in, and then the pump will blow out the smoke. And these work really, really well. I've actually got something very similar to this in my Proton pack. But the thing is that when it comes to the trap I wanted to emit a lot of smoke. I wanted there to be a billow of smoke, and I find that the e-cigs, while good and works in small places, they don't, when you're moving around, the smoke dissipates really quickly. And even outside's the worst, because outside you even barely see it. So you needed something, or I needed to find something that worked, that fit in a small space, that was cost effective, and released a lot of smoke. These are three things that, maybe hard asks. In comes Ulanzi's Film Ace smoke machine, and there's a couple others out there right now, but this one was the most cost effective and for what it's going to do. So let's take a quick peek at my setup, and I'm doing this for Jamie over the next couple of hours here. I'm going to see if I can get it done because I'm seeing him this weekend, and let's see how easy this is to mod in order to kind of create this effect. A word of warning right now. What we're about to do to this smoke machine is going to go against all the warranty, all this kind of stuff. Just be aware of what we're doing to this smoke machine. I personally haven't had any problems. I've done 2 or 3 full troops with this over the course of like 6 to 8 hours, and never had a problem. But there are a couple of things that we need to be aware of. All right, to give you guys a little bit of a review on what you get. So if when you buy the Filmog Ace from Ulanzi, it comes in a really nice soft shell case, and this is essentially what you get. You get the fog machine, you get the liquid, you get the batteries, you get the tank, and you get a couple of adapters. All right, let's take a look. You'll see that the way this is, it actually fits really nicely inside the trap. So I've got the top part here, which is the essentially where the remote sits and charges. So this will just fit in just like this, and the trap can still close. So I can now just flip this remote off, turn this guy on, and you can see how much smoke comes out of that. And again, it happens very, very quickly. But yeah, so it looks a little Frankenstein-y, all right? Be aware of that. But this is essentially the unit that we are going to make. So it has the board, it has the atomizer, and it has everything we need to do to keep it recharged and in function. Okay, let's have some fun. Let's take Jimmy's apart and let's get to it. All right, so let's take a look. So the first thing is, this is the actual smoke machine. This is great for what we're doing. I find that the tank does not get super hot. So we're using this with caution, but in order to create smoke, there needs to be heat. So don't run it like 2-3 minutes straight. Like even 10-20 seconds should be more than enough for creating the amount of smoke that you need. So right now I'm just going to take out the screws here, 4 on the top, 2 on the bottom, in order to take the case off. A quick note about the battery. So the battery, it actually has a door and a little bit of a switch here. Essentially what it does is this, if you take a look at the plate, it puts these 2 batteries together. So if you take a look at that little dip that comes out of the contacts there, this is what connects with that. So we need to actually connect the 2 batteries together in order for this to work. And so once those screws come off, we can then remove the outer shell. This part here we don't need. We can just go ahead and discard that. As you can see here, we've got that one part that I showed you, that little nubbin that gets pushed. That is connected to the power board. All right, again, so that needs to be connected to the batteries in order for it to work. You can see here, this is where our batteries are as well, which is great. Hey, look at that. That looks familiar. Another air pump, right? And then again, all we're going to do in the end is we're going to add on this atomizer, and it's going to look very familiar to the other vape smoke machines that I have made before. Okay, it just has a lot of interesting features that are in this this circuit board, which is below it. If you can see here, there's some screws here that are attaching the board to the plastic shell. I'm going to remove those screws, and then just so that I have access to take this off and then do my dremeling. Okay, let's take this apart. Let's take this off of the plastic shell. I like saving these screws because you never know when you're going to need something like this again. And there's one hiding. Ah, there it is. It's hiding behind. You have to take the fan off, or the blower off, in order to get to it. All right, that's definitely one we're going to save. And then it all comes out just like that. A couple little interesting bits of technology as well. So like this plate here, this is essentially the magnet. And this is what keeps the remote in place. So this keeps it in place. And then this is the charging port right here. This is what charges the remote. So we need to make sure that that mates back up to where it's supposed to go. You can see here that this is essentially what provides power to the atomizer. Okay, so this is what essentially heats up the atomizer, these 2 cables here. We've got power that's going to the pump. Unfortunately, this bracket stands a little bit too high. So I'm going to go ahead and take off that bracket. All right, just comes off like so. All right, after that screw comes out. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'll take these, the cables here, and I will probably create a plug so that you can take the batteries out if you need to, because that's always important that you can remove the batteries. All right, so I'm just gonna rough up my my edges of my battery, just so that there's a little bit of space of tooth, or whatever it is people say, for the solder to kind of adhere to. Otherwise, it's a little harder, not very fun. So I'm using just 150 grit, nothing crazy. All right. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder a little bit of solder. So what do I want? I want the negative side right there. I'm going to solder a little bit of solder right here in preparation for the plug. So I'll just take this, we'll put some solder here, nice healthy amount, right? Just so that there's some solder here for the battery. All right. So just a little bit so that the lead has somewhere to sit. So that's the negative side. I'm going to do the exact same to the positive side. Okay, so now I have a little bit of solder on the positive side of the battery. So now I'm going to take my, this can go aside for now. Boop, boop, boop. I'm going to take my positive, which is my red. And all I should have to do is just retouch the solder with the lead, and it should go in pretty nicely. There we go. All right, so now our positive lead is attached to our positive part of the battery, which is great. Okay, now we've got our two leads for our battery that are coming out of here, right? So our positive and our negative. At this point, it's also not a bad idea to give these guys a little bit of tape, just for the next part, just to make sure that they don't wiggle around on you. Make sure that they are properly aligned. That's good. And just give them a little bit of tape. So what I'm doing right now is I'm finishing off the connector for the bottom part of the battery. This is essentially that part that essentially is tricking, or is ensuring that a battery is connected in order for the unit to run. So I'm just going to go ahead and solder this real quick, and I'll explain to you a little bit more on how this works. It's important to try to keep your cables as short as possible, even though like we're still dealing with a small amount of room. So you do want to be mindful of how long your cables are. Yeah. Okay. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to take the front here. We've got our positive and negative, again, red being positive, black being negative, and we're going to plug that in to the power, which is great. And then we've got our bottom portion here. Honestly, it doesn't matter because it's both reversed anyway, so it's fine. So we're going to put this part here in the bottom, and then what you're going to see is you're going to see the red light power up. So right now Jamie's batteries are dead. I got to charge this thing up, but what you'll see is you'll see the initial like red light. All right, it's got power. That's great. But this way we can, detach this plug, and fully remove the battery if we need to. Another thing I did at this point was I wrapped the battery in electrical tape, making sure to cover up both ends so that the contacts are no longer present. So this is essentially our battery now. So that about does it for the soldering. That's really all we needed to do. We needed to connect the battery and that extra little safety switch. Now, what we have to do is we have to make it fit. So with that, we need to Dremel. Okay, so what we're going to be dremeling, you guys might not like this. I tried to find ways. We need to remove this black piece here. I tried to find ways. I thought this would be screwed in. I thought that, that it was just a pop off. I didn't want to force anything, so I ended up taking my Dremel to it. So let's go ahead. Let's be safe, and let's go ahead and take off this black piece. I find that when I do this, I'm going to cut away from it, and I'm going to leave all the important bits off to the side here. Ah, mother. That is in there. There we go. Come on, baby. There we go. All right, now what I might want to do here is just clean this up. All right, so that's nice and smooth. Heck, you might even be able to take that whole thing out, but right now I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna be putting on just a little extra tape here just to keep these solder points safe. I don't want to keep things too tight though, because when I put it into the trap, you want things to be able to move around a little bit, just in case, it's never going to fit into the trap like perfectly. So making sure that you have a little bit of extra give, I think is important. So let's tidy that up a little bit, and let's just tape this up a little bit here. The next thing that we need to do is actually fit it into this case now. So using my version as kind of a base point, you can see that we remove quite a bit of that original shell. So essentially all of that left and all of that right side. I don't think I did not take any of the length. It's the width that needs to come off. Let's do a test fit. So I got my trap, got this open, and it fits. So that's great. It's got a little bit of give on either side, but that's perfect. I'm happy with that. So the next thing that we have to do is really just assemble this, put this back together, put the board back on with the screws, and put the atomizer in, put some fluid in, and away we go. The first thing I'm going to do is put that screw back in that was hiding underneath the air pump. Okay, so that is essentially the main one that's going to hold it all together. After this, there really aren't any other screws that really need to go in, to be honest. That is a good enough screw in order to bring that back in. The next thing that I'm going to do, because we got rid of this bracket, I'm going to zap strap the air pump to the overall unit, but I am also going to put down some Captain tape, so it's heat resistant tape. I'm also going to hot glue those particular points just so that they have extra support. So this is Captain tape. It is essentially a very heat resistant tape. So I just went ahead and I went to put a coat of the Captain tape down on the board. Again, just to prevent, not that it does get hot, overly hot if you don't run it too long, but again, just to make sure that the electronics are safe. I am also going to do one, just because, keep it black. I am going to put down one layer of electrical tape as well, just to tidy this up a little bit. At this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some zap straps, go through the board, and zap strap the air pump to the board. Okay, so here's our finished smoke machine. Again, we have the air pump, we've got the atomizer here, and we can screw that on now. All right, so that's in. You fill the atomizer through this little bib there. All right, so that'll get pressed in. Make sure you press that in tight, because this is essentially what keeps the fluid inside the tank. So make sure that that's nice and tight. And then we've got our two cables for our battery. So let's go ahead and plug in our battery. All right. And what I would recommend that you do is that you ensure that you are looking at the instructions for the fog machine, because there are some light indicators, like LED indicators, that tell you what's happening. So that red light right there, that essentially was saying, sorry bud, your battery's dead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in the battery using a USB-C cable. So that'll plug in. And then we get a white LED. This white LED is going to fade in and out, and this is going to tell us that the battery is charging. Now that we got everything tested, everything's good to go here, we're ready to put things inside the trap. So the way that I kind of do it, again, it's still a little bit, again, it's not pretty. But it does the job, all right? So how I usually put this in after it's been charged, again, through your USB port, I will put the battery in first, and it usually fits well in that deeper dip. And then what I'll do is I'll wrap the cable, and then it will fit right in. So the fan will actually sit on the part that's furthest, and there we go. So you'll have the atomizer pointing out this way. I mean, you can probably reverse it. Again, this is going to be to your preference and seeing how you want this to work. But this is how this is what works for me. So just double check the door's shut, and that's great. So let's go ahead and do a smoke test. So again, I'll push and hold the remote to make sure it's on. All right, the smoke machine turns on. Sometimes what happens here is you might need to just toss this back in so that the remote pairs with the actual smoke unit, and from here you're good to go. Now that'll do it for another episode of Ready to Believe. We're ready to believe you. I know they do the walk-in thing. They're like, does it just I gotta look down? Do I look up? What do I do? I don't know. Do I do that? Did I do it right? We're ready to believe you.
Okay. And did that look as risky but also as cool to you as it did to us?
Do not try this at home.
Again, please do not try this at home. But Aaron being Aaron, our own personal Doc Brown, made it happen. I've seen it in action. I mean, mine is in action now. It smokes. Yeah, Really amazing work, Aaron. Thank you very
Yeah,
much for
incredible.
doing that all and recording the process. I know Rob, you and I both know firsthand how much of an extra pain in the butt it is on top of doing the actual thing to record yourself doing it and editing it together after the fact.
Yeah, the quality of his video is freaking amazing. That's all him. That's his wheelhouse. It's gonna make our videos look like crap from here on in, but at least we'll just piggyback on his quality of work.
Aaron is a man of many talents.
Oh my God, is he ever?
Obviously.
It's like a Doc Brown and a Spielberg all rolled in one.
So with that, I'm Jamie Pale Rider.
Rob Williams.
And we're ready
to
believe you.